So I recently received a request on smoking a brisket on a backyard Weber barbecue. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to just make a tutorial. We'll make it nice and easy, real quick, something simple that anybody can follow. I'm gonna break this down into a couple different sections. We'll start with preparation for your brisket. That'll include the dry rub and getting the brisket all ready to put on the grill. We'll talk about the importance of the grill process related to the heat, the smoke, and the time. And we'll discuss how to serve up your brisket in a way that your guests are gonna absolutely love. The video will be quick, but the whole smoking the brisket process is gonna take you between 10 and 12 hours. So keep this in mind. If you wanna serve brisket for dinner, you're gonna need to get up early. If you wanna serve brisket for lunch, you're gonna need to start in the middle of the night. So let's get started with the proper way to prepare your brisket for the grill. Okay, so here's our brisket. This is a 10.5 pound brisket. And as you can see in prepping, I put a pan, wrapped it in foil, set it on the counter here. I unwrapped the brisket, I washed it and dried it, and now we're gonna put the dry rub on. Now we're doing this the day before we do any of the cooking. This dry rub is my own combo. Everybody comes up with their preference. I'll tell you what's in this and then you can work your way to what it is you like. This is a 2 cups brown sugar, 1 cup barbecue dry rub seasoning. I also though add a little bit of coffee grounds that are, it's not like you're using the coffee. This is ground raw coffee grounds, about a 1/4 cup to this 3 cups. So 2 cups brown sugar, 1 cup seasoning, the dry rub seasoning, 1/4 cup coffee grounds, and we're good to go. Now I'm just gonna put this on by hand. It's real simple, just make a pile in the middle and start rubbing it in here. You're gonna put it in down in all the cracks across the entire surface of the brisket. This is not a gentle process, just get it in there. So you see how the rub is real thick? It's gonna make a crust when we're all done here. So now flipping it over, do the same thing on the other side. This time though, we will leave the fat side up. So we started with the more fleshy side. This is the fat side of the brisket. We're gonna leave it like this when we put it in the refrigerator overnight. The natural juices from the meat are gonna start to escape and they're gonna seep out overnight, so the bottom of your pan is gonna have some fluid in it, and that's okay. You're not gonna throw that away. We're gonna pour it back on top of the meat when we get to one of the cooking stages. Now I'm gonna cover it in either foil or saran wrap, doesn't matter. We're gonna put it in the fridge, and when we take it out in the morning, it'll be ready to go on the grill. So I brought the brisket out of the refrigerator and set it here on the counter about 2 hours before I wanna put it on the grill. It's been resting overnight, absorbing all the flavor from the dry rub. I want to show you what it looks like. See the color change? All those spices have soaked into the first layer of the brisket. Some of the juices have seeped out overnight, not a problem. Do not throw them away. We're going to reapply them at a stage in the smoking process. When it comes to heat, smoke, and time, it's really a very simple combination. Let's start with heat. Just use a charcoal briquette. It's really important that this does not have match light fluid already embedded in the briquettes. This just needs to be a hardwood, all natural briquette. You're not going to use any accelerants, so you don't want to use lighter fluid, or like I said, have this be match light. When we put it in the tower, in order to start the briquettes, the chimney tower will produce enough heat to get this going consistently and have a really great fire all the way through the briquettes. To get the smoke flavor that we're looking for in the brisket, we're using a hardwood addition, and this is a dry hardwood. A lot of people say to soak your chips or your wood in water for a period of time in order to get it moist so it has a slower release, but I prefer a dry hardwood. These are wine barrel oak staves. I add them to the briquettes while they're already burning in the grill, and then when we reduce the oxygen with the vents, these will burn real slow. And as you can see coming out of the grill right now, gives you a really great smoke. And the flavor is not overwhelming, so it's not going to take over the dry rub flavor you've prepared for the brisket. It just adds a real nice smoky savor flavor. So it's your choice what you use. A lot of people can get chips or chunks just at a hardware store. But like I said, I prefer these oak barrel wine staves. If you have a chance to get your hands on something like this, take the opportunity. And now it comes down to time. You're gonna need between 10 and 12 hours, as I mentioned before, depending on the size of the brisket. You need to look at about an hour per pound minimum. And I wouldn't recommend a brisket less than, say, 5 pounds. Remember, this is low and slow. There's no rushing smoked brisket. You just need to take your time, be patient, monitor your heat, monitor your smoke, and keep a watch on your time, no pun intended. Let's talk about the grill setup for just a minute here as we prepare our coals. I've got the vent in the bottom of the grill open all the way. That's going to allow oxygen air to move up through the chimney stack here. Coals are stacked in the chimney, paper underneath. We'll light that, get the fire going. Our chimney stack's working just as it's intended to. If you can see, there's flame beginning to rise out of the charcoal chimney stack. That's because the heat and the flame is being drawn up from the bottom to ignite that charcoal. Oh yeah, those coals are looking good. See how hot they are? That's perfect. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take these coals and dump them into one side of the grill. I have the set of tongs I only use to move the briquettes around. I'm going to press them up against one side of the grill. Now I can return the grill top, place it right in line with the briquettes that are on this end, because I've got a little door here that opens up that gives me access to the coals, because this is where I'm going to continue to drop coals and place our smoking wood. Okay, once I've got my oak smoking wood in the grill, I'm going to put the top back on. As you can see, we got smoke coming out of the grill now, and the temperature is rising to about 300 degrees. Now, I don't want to smoke the brisket at 300 degrees. I just want to get the grill nice and hot, get a consistent heat in there. I'm going to place the brisket on the grill, and then we're going to lower the heat back down to between 200 and 225 degrees. Now that we've got the grill to 300 degrees, we got good smoke coming out the top, it's time to put this beautiful brisket right on the grill. Okay, I use a different set of tongs. These are not the same as my charcoal tongs. These are sterile, they're clean, they're just for flipping over the brisket. It's time to put this brisket on the grill with the flesh meat side down, fat side up. We'll put it on the opposite side of the coals, so it's gonna rest over here, and then we'll recover it and adjust the heat. Take two. Brisket's too large, tongs won't work. That's why I wear these gloves. We're just gonna put it on by hand. Brisket's on the grill. We're gonna put the top back on now and adjust the heat. In order to get our temperature drop from 300 to 200 degrees, I'm gonna adjust the vents. We're gonna close the bottom vent completely and the top vent completely. What that's going to do is going to shut off the oxygen flow inside of the grill to the charcoal and to the wood. The temperature will drop from 300, our goal is between 200 and 225. We're down from 300 to 250 degrees. It took 10 minutes to go 50 degrees. About another 3-4 minutes, we'll be right at our optimum temperature, and I'll open those vents back up again. That's it, that's right where we want the temperature. So now I'm gonna open the vents and let the temperature just rest at 225 degrees for about the next 10 hours. Opening the bottom vent to about a quarter, top vent to about a quarter. Coals are looking good. I'm just gonna drop one more piece of oak in here, cover it up, and come back and check on it in about 20 minutes. This is perfect. We're right at 225 degrees. We've got good smoke coming out the grill. Vents are just right. Everything's dialed in. I'll just come back and check on it about every 15-20 minutes just to make sure temp's good, and it should be for quite a while. This brisket's been on the grill now for 3 hours. I took the lid off, so you're seeing the oxygen is fueling the oak stave, so we're getting a little burn there. When I put the lid back on, that'll go away. But what I want to do right now is simply turn the brisket so we're getting an even distribution of heat, because this is where the main heat's coming from. And I want to get this large side of the brisket closer to the heat for another couple hours. Put in a couple more coals for the heat. That'll keep us going for another couple hours. We've reached the halfway mark. The brisket was on the grill for a little over 4 hours, and now I've pulled it off for a very important step to my grilling process. When I'm smoking a brisket, I like to transfer it halfway through onto peach paper and foil, and that's what we have here. Peach paper is a food grade butcher paper. It's kind of peach colored, as you can see here. You can get it on Amazon. It's like 25 bucks or less. Not everybody does this. I like this step. It helps maintain some of the moisture in the brisket. So we're going to transfer it now onto the peach paper, wrap it up. I'll show you how that works. Also wrap it up in foil. Also, I mentioned earlier, don't get rid of your pan and all the juices. And the reason is you're going to transfer the brisket from the grill back into the house to wrap it up on the pan, and there's a bunch of great juices in there. We're going to pour it on top at the end here. So let's just go ahead and transfer that brisket now onto the peach paper. Take some of the juice from the pan and just drizzle it over. That's the seasoning, the dry rub, and the meat juices. Just real simple. What we want to do is we want to fold this in a way that'll keep the juices in. We don't want it to leak out. So almost like you're making a bowl by the way you fold the peach paper. And that's why I do 2 layers. Then I'll rotate it 90 degrees, wrap it again. Keeping all those juices in, made a bowl. Again, 90 degrees, and now I've got 2 layers of foil here. And again, just keeping it consistent. You want to make it so that nothing would leak out if it had the chance to. You want to maintain as much of that fluid, the juices, the fats in the meat. Holding all the edges up. Okay, that's it. There's our brisket that's in 2 layers of peach paper, 2 layers of foil. And you'd think, man, it's sealed in there nice and tight. Well, what we want to do is we want to maintain as much of the moisture in the wrap as possible. Same time, we're putting it back on the grill with heat and smoke, and it's going to continue to absorb into the brisket. Not as much as the first 4.5 hours. There's going to be a real nice smoke ring when we cut in that meat, but we want to maintain the heat and the smoke for the next 4.5 hours, just for that last little finish. Back on the grill we go. Brisket just goes down on the same size it was before. Nothing's changed. Just looking at my heat and smoke, making sure that it's consistent. Again, I'll be checking the temperature, making sure it's about 220, dropping coal and briquettes, dropping briquettes and for heat, and oak for smoke for the next 4.5 hours. That's it for grilling the brisket. It was on the grill for over 10 hours. The smoke and the heat were consistent. Great smoke from the oak from the wine staves, and the heat was at 220, 225 degrees for the entire time. We're now going to take it out and slice it. Do keep in mind, after I pulled the brisket off the grill, I let it rest for an hour. That allows the juices that are caught up in the peach paper and inside the foil here to amalgamate back up into the meat. You're going to want to let the meat rest for an hour. That's very, very important. So let's get to slicing this beauty and serving it to our friends. All right, so let's just unwrap it from the foil here. Wish you could smell this, it's amazing. Bring out that peach paper, and look what we have here. That is beautiful. Now we're going to take it out, put it on the cutting board. Do not let these juices escape. We're going to reapply them when we go to serve. Now the key to cutting this brisket is you don't go with the grain, you go against the grain of the meat. So we'll start on this end and work our way cutting. You'll see what I mean by against the grain. Oh, that's beautiful. This end is going to be a little meatier. On the far end here, it's going to be a bit softer. This is a thick end of the brisket.